My next guest on the show this evening believes that the law of attraction saved his life. And what a life this guy has had, from discovering he had alopecia during his teenage years to alcohol addiction within his family to drug addiction, gambling addiction. He's turned his life around. And a guy said to me the other day, Paul Mallon is one of the most positive people you will ever meet. I'm discovering that now. You're going to see it for yourself because Paul joins me in the studio. Paul, how are you?
Hi Robin, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You've got this big event coming up on the 30th of August, which we'll talk about in a second, but I'm dying to find out about your background because you've been through so much and yet you stay so positive. Tell us your story. How did the law of attraction help you in your life?
So I grew up in North Belfast, predominantly in a particular field, cross community, either side. And so life was always about, rioting, troubles. And I grew up born in 1969. So it was really starting off, yes. And so we lived in a terraced house with an outside toilet, so there was nothing inside. And money was very, very scarce. So we actually had a television that you put 10 pence in and turned the dial at the back off radio rentals. So we literally was very little money. And I don't ever remember having money in the house. Unfortunately, Dad, who was a local musician, and unfortunately got into the alcohol. So as a young child, I remember the alcohol-fueled bursts in the house as a young child and not having any notion how to deal with it. And then there was domestic violence. Again, I just didn't know. I used to go to bed, and it was myself and my two brothers at that time. And it was fear, just absolute fear. But we had no way to channel it out. And then the night that Mum and Dad that was it over, I was 7. So Thomas was 8, 7 and 6. And we left the house, so it wasn't like my dad left, we left the house, and we went to stay with our grandmum up in the Antrim Road, just for safety. We were there for a number of years, to be honest, all squeezed into her wee flat. And so that was fine. Again, you just go on with life and surviving. But I always remember never having enough money. We would shop in second-hand shops, and don't ever remember having birthday parties. And we never ever got away on a trip, ever. It wasn't like we ever got to Port Rouse. It just didn't exist. And I didn't miss it because we didn't know. There was certainly nothing to there. And then, and I went to bed. I mean, the whole stress of everything, I was taking the doctors and I had certain procedures and mesh on the bed, so the alarms would go off, and it just didn't work for me. And Mum used a wee calendar with gold stars, and every time you get so many gold stars, you get a prize. I just wanted to stop. I just felt a failure that this young boy, growing up in that area. And
how did the troubles affect you as a young boy?
Well, I always remember that at a moment, I think it was around about 5 or 6, and I'm sure that they would come up. There was a family that was petrol bombed, and they died. The Dempseys, and I know the baby, so they were really young, about 21, 23, because I'd done this research afterward, and the baby was 6 months old, and they died on. But I remember the coffin going up, and I'm just holding this little white coffin. I remember saying to Mum, is that going to happen to us? And I no, of course Mum's reassuring you. So, and then you were watching things, shootings and men running down with balaclavas, and all of this went on and on. And my dad, he did collect war memorabilia.
Right.
So we had, war guns and all. And then, of course, soldiers came in and raided, and he was jailed for a period of time.
Wow.
Up in Crumlin Road Jail. And I remember going up to see him in Crumlin Road Jail, and I had no love for my father, unfortunately. I was complete fear of the man. So I used to love going up just to get the hot chocolate out of the hot chocolate machine, but we had to get searched.
Yeah.
And I remember my young brother, Dee, getting searched, and I found a pencil sharpener in his blazer just in the lining, and he got grilled as a 6-year-old child. And because we just lived, we just walked, Mum took us up.
And of course, where you lived as well, lots of your friends and neighbours probably would have got involved in the troubles that were going on at the time. Were you kind of shielded from that, from your family?
No, not at all, because Mum, it was all about survival then. So we played out in the street at the late. We played in the old Dunkern picture house. That was our playground, as young kids playing it out. And you come back and you were filthy, but so what? You got your hand-me-down clothes. It didn't really matter as long as you were safe, and she would shout, your dinner's ready. and then you would run in, and you had your street fights.
Yeah.
You know, it was about survival in those areas, but then, you know, you had the solidarity of people trying to support each other. And a couple of neighbours did die, you know, I won't mention any of the names, but some of them did die brutally. And so I was aware of the person who used to fix our little model airplanes, the Airfix. Well, he was killed, and it was like, what, you know, and trying to understand it, but we couldn't understand it, and Mum didn't know how to deal with it, and Dad certainly wasn't there to help us out with it. So the impact of there, and then going to school in Barney, you know, I was a Barney boy, and you know, almost where they eat their children, you know, you had to learn to fight, you had to, you know, or you were going to get bullied. And I was always petrified because I did wet the bed, even getting into Barney. I was petrified. I was just going, my God, what if there, and I used to go, look, you know, because you got to bear in mind, we had outside toilets, so we didn't have showers.
Yes,
You know, in those days. So you're at the, you know, trying to get washed in a certain way that you could. And so I was always petrified, and bringing this gregarious personality to blend in so that I would kind of get away with it. And
so you're there, you're trying to blend in, and then you discover you have alopecia as well.
Well, I got the alopecia when I at 18. So the thing is, whenever I started to wet the bed, in school, of course, you're playing pitch and toss, and you're playing 3-card brag, and so you're playing all this, and then Mum would have taken us, you know, those times down to the bingo hall, and you would have sat there, and she would have just played bingo, and you were sitting, without realising you're 13, you could sit there, and you were playing the bingo and doing these things.
So is this where the gambling addiction started?
At the time, what the mate was just going down to meet Mum, and then at 16, I was with a big friend, Big Phil, and we were playing snooker in the snooker hall, and there was 50 pence left. And I said, and I just started an apprenticeship in work experience. They were so happy with my work ethic that they offered me the work experience at £65 a week, and that was 36 years ago. And the first thought was, this money will help my mum.
Yeah.
But we're in the snooker hall, I had 50 pence left, and I threw it into the poker machine. I had no idea what I was doing, and I won £10. I was hooked. And we didn't have ATM machines then. You had to go up to the bank with your bank book.
Yes, yeah.
Because I was working, as I say, I was putting money away. Most of it went to my mum. 2/3 of it went to Mum to help with the house. And at that stage, we just got somewhere first. Well, we got ourselves somewhere at around about 11, so we were with Granny for about 3 or 4 years. And Mum found the book. She found it with all these withdrawals, and she broke her heart, and I broke my heart and said, I promise you, Mum, that's it. I'll never do it again, never again. And unfortunately, the week later, I was doing the same thing. And so not that I knew I was hooked, I didn't think anything of it, I just knew I couldn't stop. And then at 18, when whilst I was still in employment, I kind of noticed a large kind of bald patch here, and I thought, come on, I'm going bald here, you know, or something not right here. Yeah. And then ferociously, it just moved the whole way around. And at 18, I was devastated, Robin. Yeah. You know, and I was using mascara, my mum's mascara, to try and cover the bald patches. Yes, I was covering the hair over. Yeah. I was hairspray. Where I worked in the chimney corner in the hospitality, there was a huge big mirror at the end of the bar, and I was constantly just watching, and you know, this was constant. Yeah. And if someone had laughed, maybe just people in the bar had laughed, well, they were laughing at me, and then my confidence, so my internal conversations were, right, okay, and then I would try to subdifuse it by, all right, how's it going? If you find a hair in your soup, now it's not mine, because at this stage it was bald. Yes, yeah. You know, if you find it's nothing to do with me, and I was trying to make fun out of it, but I was devastated. Yeah. And couldn't go out in relationships, couldn't go out, and I wore the baseball hat everywhere I went. Yeah. Everywhere I went.
When did the moment come when you decided, I have a serious problem here?
Well, I went to Gamblers Anonymous a number of times, never ever completed a year. The wee voice in my head told me I was cured, and I was free, and I'd left the Gamblers Anonymous, and I'd done well for maybe a month or 2 months, and I was like, I'm okay to do this, or I'm okay to do that, and then all of a sudden, it's back, and then we'll go again. So I think maybe I'd done about maybe 12 to 13 times in Gamblers Anonymous, which is, it does work, and the guys were brilliant, very, very supportive. It was just my ego was taking me out of the recovery, and then, you know, constantly, like the lack of money. You know, you're taking your wages, and you're spending your wages, and you're denying yourself the things that you really want, like a nice pair of shoes. No, I don't want them. But you would put it into the machine. Yeah. But you were just getting more in your mind from that, and I was just this total reciprocation of just over and over and over, and I was just spiraling, and I was just losing who I was. You know, everybody thought, oh my God, you're brilliant. But inside, it was not what it was at all. It really wasn't.
How did things change then? How did you find out about the law of attraction then?
I was 37, and a girl that I was working with, or used to work with, and so I believe God works in mysterious ways. I was waiting for the arcade to open, and I was half an hour too early, and I went, damn, I'll go over and have a coffee in the wee bar that I used to work in. And I went into the bar, we were having a conversation, and she was talking, and I was going, yeah. Well, right, is that great? And then she just says, here, I'm doing a course next week. It's supposed to turn your life around. I went, what, really? Yeah, can I do it? And she went, yeah. What, seriously? I'd love to. So I done the course. It wasn't the law of attraction per se, it wasn't to do with that. And it was for 3.5 days, from 9 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. And it opened my mind to how life was. And, you know, I didn't realize the things that was going on, the resentment, even towards my mum. Mm-hmm. I blocked all of these people. My brother, I just blocked out. It was all about Paul and my world. So it was about writing forgiveness letters. Like, started to write a forgiveness letter, and it was coming from my heart.
And did you get to the point where you forgive your dad?
Oh, that took I thought I had forgiven him. But when I actually started to do the exercise, and that came a little bit later on, so maybe 3 or 4 years after the discovery, because I thought, no, I have forgiven him, but I hadn't. So doing the forgiveness letters was opening up something. I remember the first time when I started to write it, I just got present to, you know, like, why did you never buy us a present? Why did you never come and see us? Like, it was gone. Like, it wasn't like we walked out and we'd see him every Sunday, his father.
Yes,
no, it was it. It's gone.
Yeah.
He never entered my life again until I was 26 when I made contact with him. And then, but it was forgiveness of friends, you know, that I hadn't spoken to in 13 years because something happened.
Yeah.
And it was like, I forgive you.
Yes, yeah.
And then them ringing me up, and like, what did you want me for? And I'm like, I just want to let you know that I forgive you for what happened. And they were like, why, what happened? And I just laughed.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, I was free of it, but every time, did you ever see that part? Him? And I would just be really angry with it. And I was like, so at peace. And then with my dad, and then my mum. And it was just a big part. It was like, oh, blaming my mum for so many things in my life. And then when I explained to her and really honestly opened up my heart to her, and she thought, I didn't want to talk to you about it because I thought it was your gambling, and I thought she didn't love me.
Yes.
And so every time there was this dichotomy, every time we went to the house.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Mum. So I fell in love with my mum, like unconditionally, just a beautiful woman, and we had so many conversations. Before then, she took a stroke in 2012 with a sprack. Now she can't speak.
Right.
But I'm at peace with knowing we had the most beautiful conversation, and she gets my love and I have her love. And then just the whole law of attraction, everything I got a house, like I wanted a house. I lived in the flats in the village, and I was like, I would love to get out. This was in 2007, but the properties were like super high prices, and I was like, oh, I would so love to get a property. And
it's vision boards you do as well.
Yeah. Well, at that stage I hadn't done a vision board. I just kept sitting there going, I would love. And then all of a sudden it was like, you need to get out of the property that you're in.
Yeah.
And I, right. Where would you like to live? And I said, well, I'd like to live in this area. Okay, we've got a house there. And I went, what?
Wow.
So they give me the house, and then 6 weeks into the house, I'm like, can I buy the house? I had no money. Like, I had not a penny in deposit. And as a tenant for a number of years, and they were like, well, yeah, you get a discount on that.
Yeah.
And when I went to the mortgage place, and they were like, no, you don't need a deposit. Your discount is your mortgage. I went, what? What? So I got this house like out of no money. So then I done a big vision board from 2020 to 2025, a 5-year vision, new car, new health. So I've lost around about 1.5 stone to 2 stone. I'm still going because I want to be 13. So it's not about losing, it's to be a certain way. The car, the house, the financial freedom, and yoga, which I start tonight.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and it's on the vision board.
Okay.
To do yoga, and my Slim and Word coach is actually doing yoga, and I was like, I'll do it. It's on my board. But so I had a new car, and so it's not just about putting it onto the board. There's a little bit more to it. You have to get the thoughts starting in the process, and then the other part was I would love to be a law of attraction coach and a life coach because I have been through a lot with the alopecia, the gambling, the drugs, all of that thing.
Yeah.
And I just put that out, and I was, and then I just posted on Facebook, and I went, you know, here's who I am. And the reaction was incredible, and I had some people calling me personally. I was like, thank you so much. You know, thank you for even just sharing it, because from that, here, I thought, no, really? And then I'm sitting here now with you because of that post. Somebody else wanted, Paddy, you know, and myself and Paddy had a conversation, and I was like, this is incredible, you know, this is what I'm following my destiny, and even if I didn't want to, something has taken me there, Robin.
And you are moving it on, because you're now taking this to the Wellington Park Hotel on the 30th of August.
I am,
so
yes.
What's going to happen that night?
So people come in, it's £15, it's 2 hours, so you will sit there, and it is really, I will discuss this, who I was in my life, and a little bit more details, a little bit more personal details. Come along, and I will then take you through the journey. So it's called A Gift Within. Okay. All right, even though it's a law of attraction, and it's the most beautiful, beautiful mnemonic.
Yeah.
So it's A Gift Within is affirmations, gratitude, intentions, feelings, and thoughts. All of them exist. Everything that I've used over these last 15 years to turn this negative person, who came across as very happy and very personal, absolutely I did, but self-destructive, self-loathing, to this person who, you know, even with this bald head, just loves myself now, and not in a conceited way, but a way to accept who I am and who I'm not, and just to pursue, you know, what I'm so passionate about, is making a difference to your life and to people's lives, to say you can change your life by changing your thoughts.
Now, there's probably some people watching this who have been where you are, who are going through the things that you've been through, who would love to change their life, but they're a bit worried about coming along on the 30th of August and basically exposing themselves to a room full of people. What would you say to them?
Okay, you don't have to, you've just to listen. There is not one thing that you have to share unless you want to.
Yeah.
But it's for me to present the slides and the talk, so all of it, that you can take something away to start the process.
As with everything, you're going to get the non-believers as well.
Oh, honestly.
And you probably get them on social media, you probably...
My family were like, initially was like, well, you know, why don't you go back to the pub game? When I left the pub game, I left with no job. I didn't walk into another job. I just had to leave because I was losing who I was, my own identity, with the gambling, the smoking, and blah, 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 blah. I had to leave to figure out who I was. And people were like, why don't you go back? I went, no, I didn't come this far to go back.
Yeah.
I was held into it for 29 years because I was so petrified of leaving. I was in it since I was 16, petrified of leaving. I didn't know anything else. Now I just like, you know, and so if people go, you're totally fine. Live in your head in that life. You can do it, and I love you all the same for it. I don't have any qualms, no irks, no nothing. I don't get your impact as in, I choose. Yeah. It's all about choice. I can respond or I can react in every situation.
Well, if people want to find out more, Tuesday, 30th of August, Wellington Park Hotel is the place to be. Paul, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And thank you for being so open and honest.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity, and I really, honestly, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.